Та энэ зургийг өмнө харж байсан уу? Магадгүй таны нүдэнд энэ хоёр зургийн өнгөний ялгарал нь орд тис өөр мэт харагдаж байгаа бол та яг сайн сайтар шалгаж харах юм бол яг адилхан өнгөтэй зурагнууд. Сайн уу? Яг энэ өөрөө танд нэг тийм шүүц хүрээ төрүүлж ойлгоочлаа. Гэтэ та нааш ирээ суугуулаарай дээ. Бидний энэ нүд орчлон руу харах боломжийг өгдөг ч хэлээ бид яг ч хүснээр ардгүй. Тухайлбал энэхүү зургийн огшны даа шинжсний өнгөний тогтмол чанар болон бүрийн нөлөөний уулз малц бидний сэтгвэд энэ хоёр өөр өнгө гэсэн хуурмаг ойлголт өгдөг. Нэг өсөндөө нүд биш тархи хуурдаг. Чи яагаад хамгийн эхлээд энэ хоёр зурган дээр зурааснууд нь яг ижлэх өнгөтэй. Гэхдээ нэг ялгаа нь нэг талын арт талын фон гэрэл ихтэй дулаан өнгө бүрдсэн байхад нөгөө нь бараан гүйдэн өнгө дамгаалсан орчин байна. Зураас нь идэж чиний адилхан өнгөтэй байсан ч бидний тарих энэ хэсэгт сүүдрэн гэж нөгөө хэсэгт нь гэрэл байна гэж автоматик нөгч бодоод объектын жинхэнэ өнгийг таамаглах засвар. Яг энүүдийн адилхан жишээ бичлэг байгаа. Тэр би одоо харуулъя.
So what we've seen here is one of these really big challenges of painting, which is we're trying to match this color in our eye, and I think we got pretty close. But someone here said, what about the background? Which, remember, that was the thing my mom told me to worry about. And it turns out that the backgrounds in these two pictures are very, very different. So the picture themselves, I should give credit to the fellow who made the painting. His name is Bo Lotto, and he made both of these pictures. And it turns out, believe it or not, that this patch right here that you all call yellow is physically identical to the patch over there that you all call blue. And yet we clearly mix them with two very different color paints.
Wait a minute. This,
I know, crazy, eh?
This yellow is which blue? It's the same as this blue over here?
You got it.
No.
Yes, it is.
No, I seriously don't believe that.
Yeah, no, it is.
This is not acting or anything. This is real.
Should we try and prove it? Maybe we need another tray with some white. Let's put this down and give this away and then get another one. No, it's totally true. The background changes it. But the crazy thing is that here the background is not changing it just subtly. It's not like pushing it to be kind of orange to a little bit redder orange. This is pushing it to be two totally opposite colors. So in one case, we're seeing yellow, and in another case, we're seeing blue. And what's even crazier about this is if you think back to what Dr. Knights just said, what hits your eye from that patch and from the blue patch is exactly the same. So your three cone types, they're showing exactly the same activity. So this means that somewhere in our brains downstream of the retina is interpreting that whole scene to give you a completely different color experience under those two circumstances.
Your brain is affected by stuff around the color that you're...
Exactly. And
show us.
Let's do this. So what we're going to do is the only ones we need is white. We're going to do a backwards painting. We're going to go backwards and paint everything around, in this case, this yellow patch with white. And she's going to do the same thing with the blue. All right, so here we go. So this is like inverse painting, edit, undo. How are you doing on that side?
Good.
So physically, these two things are exactly the same.
Wait, let me get this over next to that, because I want to be able
He
to
doesn't
show
believe me.
one next to the other. Can you get a shot of both of these squares?
Here, really layer it on there.
Yeah.
Can you go from one square to the other so you can see it in the back? Here's one.
There's
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Amazing, eh?
That's so great. Thank you so much, Charlotte. Thank you.
Thank you,
Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is one of my favorite classic artists. Does anybody know who this is by? This picture is by? Joseph Albers. So Joseph Albers was an artist who worked about 60 or so years ago at his peak. And in this particular picture, what he's doing is he's painting with exactly the same color paint, a stripe on one side to the other side, but he gets to have it look like two different colors by changing the background. It's amazing that the same physical thing can look two different colors. And I thought, well, there must be some explanation in terms of how the brain works. So in terms of the brain, as Jay Knight said, the retina part of the brain doesn't tell us how this works. So I started to look at early visual cortex, in the first stage in the brain that receives retinal signals. And there I discovered that the neurons, the brain cells that are capable of computing what we call color contrast, this phenomenon is called color induction, where you take one colored surface and you make it look like a different color by putting it on a different background. That calculation is made in the primary visual cortex. And that's really interesting to me as a neuroscientist because it uncovers one of the really important principles of how the brain works, which is that the brain works kind of like school. You start in grade 1, you learn some stuff, and then when you've learned that stuff, you go to grade 2, and the grade 2 stuff you learn is kind of dependent on the stuff you learned in grade 1. But the point is that the brain works kind of like that, where you start in the retina, where the retina performs some very important kinds of calculations, like comparing the activity in those three cone types that Jay talked about, and then primary visual cortex gets those signals and says, aha, what I'm going to do with them is compare the amount of them I receive in this part of the visual scene with the amount in this part of the visual scene. And since those two parts could be like the apple and the background, or the stripe and the background, it's then that calculation that becomes critical for the next stage to actually know what color it is that you see.
Саяны видео нь болохоор өнгөний ойлголт бол тархины өнгийг хэрхэн таньж ялгахыг харуулсан туршилттай байсан. Тэгээ саяны туршилт болохоор Joseph Albers уран бүтээлчийн нэг сонгодог бүтээлдээр суурилсан байсан. Тэгээ яг юу болсон бэ гэхээр туршилтанд нэг ижил өнгийн хоёр төрөлжийн өнгийг харуулж байсан. Гэхдээ тэр нэг нь шарын харагдуулах, нүдэнд цэнгэрж харагдуулах гар талын фоноор нь ашигтай тархийг хуурах туршилт байсан. Физик хэмжилтээр буюу нөгөө цаан бодохоор өнгө ялгаж бодоход тухайн хоёр дүрлжин өмнө нь яг өөр мэт харагдаж байсан чинь дараа нэг харсан чинь яг адилхан өнгө. Өөрөөр хэлбэл бидний тархит тэтгэрийг өөр өнгөтэй мэт хүлээж авч ирсэн л гэсэн. Тархины нүдний арьсанд аврах буюу ретина, аль хэдийн гэрэлд өртсөн үед гурван төрлийн конус эсийн мэдээлэл яг адилхан авдаг. Гэхдээ тархины дараагийн шат буюу primary visual cortex өнгөний арьсалт хийж бидэнд ялгаатай өнгөний мэдүүлж өгдөг. Яг иймэрхүү олон арганы зөндөө байдаг ч гэсэн бас нэг TikTok дээр бас хайлт viral болоос нэг бичлэг тухайн зургийг харж байхдаа нүдэнд яг иймэрхүү процесс бол.